Greetings and welcome back, everyone. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and this is The Angry Chicken, the podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. With me, as always, what?
No.
Is that what we talk about? I thought we talked about Super Bowls.
No, we're not going to talk about that. We're done. We're done talking about that because the pre-show's over.
Well, okay, I'm out of here then.
Okay.
Everyone go back to
Cool.
Willie Dills.
He was he was Willie Dills, and joining me for the rest of the episode to talk about interesting things is Miss Jocelyn Moffat.
Hello.
How you guys doing? How was your weekend, your Super Bowl Sunday?
Good. Full of Hearthstone. February 1st, start of the new season.
Hearthstone. Okay, I played 0 Hearthstone on February 1st. But today I played an hour and a half of Hearthstone, and that was pretty good. So I think I have a good handle on what's going on in February.
That's a really good sample size you've you managed to
an hour and a half after work on stream, and I played I played one deck, and I played Face Hunter for the last game, and showed everybody why Face Hunter is ridiculous and broken.
It's still just it. Did you have a really good time just constantly taking whatever you had and hitting him in the face with it without thinking about anything whatsoever?
It was so fun. I was like, okay, I have this charge minion, and I have enough mana to play it, and I will hit his face. That's basically what I did the whole time. So yeah, that deck. So 6-0's already hit Legend. He hit Legend last night, I think, at some point.
Holy crap!
I turned his stream on, and he was rank 1.
Yep.
And he played essentially like Cancer Face Hunter the entire time, and he's already Legend. So
I need to switch to Face Hunter then, basically.
Yeah. So 6-0's figured it out. Play rush decks, and then don't sleep for 24 hours, and you hit Legend before anybody else.
Yep.
And he did it again.
Yep.
Did it again, everybody.
I like to think when I play my games. So.
Yeah.
You know what?
Are you Legend?
No, but I'm having a fun time. I'm actually playing the game to like enjoy it and have a bit of an experience.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay. That being said, though, I think that there's like this kind of, and we should probably address it. I don't know if tonight's the right night and this conversation is the right time to do it, but there is a prevailing opinion that aggro and aggro decks are just always mindless, and people who play them are less than us, and we're better because we're playing control decks.
I don't know if
that's correct.
I can tell you tonight is not the night to have this discussion. We have far too much to talk about.
True, but I'm going to put myself out there. We can have the discussion another time, but I'm going to say, as someone who's played a lot of aggro and a lot of control, that I believe both decks have a lot of big decisions to make. This Hunter deck not being one of them, because this deck is literally all about...
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I was about to jump in with, not this Hunter deck, though. No, this Hunter deck is...
particular Hunter deck. This Hunter deck is... And there might be a couple here and there, but this deck is literally about doing face damage and relying on your hero power to fill in the gaps, essentially, and do that extra bit of damage.
It's the equivalent of the red deck wins from Magic. It really is. It's the closest thing we have to it.
But okay, so a deck that hits face all the time, is that like really more mindless than a deck that always trades and always clears the board? Like, I don't think so.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, there's
no, it is.
No,
it is.
No, it's not.
Because there's efficient ways.
I thought we weren't having this discussion right now.
Yeah, but Dill's took the gloves off. Of course, if the deck truly is just go face with however you can, weapon, hero power, minion, you have one target. You're doing one thing, and you're letting the opponent react and make decisions. You're just rushing down. But if you're playing control, there is always a correct way to do things, or a correct sequence of.
But there's a correct way in those decks too. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are times
not in this Hunter deck,
and they're not that easy to pick out.
Not in this. I'm not talking about aggro decks as a whole. I'm talking about not in this Hunter deck. That's why I prefaced it with, if the point of the deck is to just always go face, no matter what, no questions asked, never make a different decision. No, you just answered your own question. Because
but it's not that. Even though it looks like that, it's not. It's still not that. Because I was playing this deck just now. I only played one game, but I had a turn where I had to trade.
Oh my God, you had one turn. Holy,
No, I know,
does your
but
brain hurt,
to
Bills?
pick out that turn where trading is correct rather than going face is not going to be totally obvious to everybody. So even though everyone can get on their high horse and say everybody who plays control is always playing a much smarter, more intelligent game than everybody who plays aggro, I really don't believe that that's the case. I don't think that a deck should be so equipped to do so well going face all the time, but I do think that we shouldn't belittle people who play aggro. That's all I'm saying. If you play aggro, you play aggro. That's your style. You like aggro. Great. You're not a bad Hearthstone player because you like to play aggro. You're not like a plague on our society because you play aggro.
A little bit. You're a little bit of a plague. I'm a little sick of your shit.
Yeah, but I mean, like, okay, a deck like Ramp Druid that if I draw Wild Growth and then I draw all of my taunt minions in a row, I'm going to win all the time, is also like a plague. I don't know. I think that
No, I agree, and that's
it's too simple-minded to be like.
And that's why I was saying
bad control good. Like it's
and that's not the defense I'm making. Is really I'm just kind of this one specific face hunter is just I don't get excited about that 6-0 news you just told me, and I don't. What is there to be excited about? Well, he played the fastest possible deck to play, and he just has way more free hours than you or I. I just can't get excited about that.
But somebody has to, right? Okay, Jocelyn, where are you? Where do you stand? So, mediate.
Oh, must I?
Well, you're here, so you're the only other person who can.
No, I agree with you. I think that there definitely are decisions to be made. Obviously, not when you're playing Face Hunter, but no, I agree. As someone who is now currently trying to get to Legend this season, I can see the benefit in a deck where it's a very, very quick game and you just go to face and you win or lose and then you move on and, you try to do it as fast as possible. I can see how that would be appealing. And then I think it's just what you do once you get there that's important, like that's when you have your fun, if that makes sense. Like that's when you try your decks. That's when you get to switch it up. Yeah. Because I'm really thinking of switching over to something that's a little bit more aggro.
Well, this is not, and again, I think this is not a weakness of the decks that the players made or the aggro in general. This is a weakness of what the ladder is, and we talked about it on the show last week, so we don't have to rehash all that. But
no.
it's not a weakness of the player. Like 6-0 is not a bad player because he plays really well with aggro decks.
Oh no, I don't.
He's a great player who has specialized in really fast decks, and he understands that the most efficient way to do what his goal is to get to Legend faster than anybody else. The only way to do that is to play a really fast deck and to play it in a really aggressive manner. And he's figured out, how to properly do that. And there's a lot of players who do really well. Chalky is another player who's well known for aggro. There's a lot of players who Firebat as well. Firebat's the world champion. He's well known as an aggro player. He likes to play aggressive decks, and I think it's wrong to look at aggro and just look at it as lesser than everybody. Like if you are really good at priest, like Amaz is really good at priest, right? So he must be much better if he can do well with priest. Well, he can figure out turns that are rather complicated, but an aggro player has complicated turns as well. They just have to figure them out. It's a different way to look at how to play the game. That's all. So I think I would like to be good at all of the spectrums because I don't really think that what you do on the ladder necessarily means that you're the best or worst or whatever. I think the ladder is kind of, for me, like a way to figure out how to play a myriad of decks.
What is that background noise?
Sorry, that's me. We're in the middle of the worst snowstorm ever. So
I was
it's
is someone
hail hitting my window
Is someone
right
watering
now.
their plants?
Oh my God,
Okay.
Unless someone had a rainmaker or whatever in there. Yeah. But I think that the ladder is, for me anyway, a place that I learn how to play different kinds of decks. And then that's not the most efficient way to reach Legend, obviously, because I haven't done that yet. But it's, to me, a place where I learn how to play different kinds of decks. Because if I do play in tournaments, I want to know how to play a different kind of deck for that. And I don't think, and having played them all, I don't think anyone is better than the other. No one is easier than another. Like that Paladin deck that everyone loves and that Garrett you love, that's not that hard of a deck, man. It's kind of a mindless deck. It's like just play whatever fits my curve at the time. Play something that equals
You just
5
described
mana on
all
turn
of
5.
Hearthstone. Play
Not
whatever
necessarily,
fits
no.
my curve at the time.
No, not necessarily. A lot of times in an aggro deck, it's better to do something that costs less mana than you have.
Well, in an aggro
Or-
deck, all you have are cards that cost less mana than you have.
But it doesn't mean that I just would do whatever equals 5 mana. Like that Paladin deck is literally built around play to my curve. Like there's very little choices. Like on turn 3, if I have Muster in my hand, I play Muster. On turn 4, if I have Piloted Shredder in my hand, I play Piloted Shredder. Like that's how that deck works. And it's not like huge decision making in that deck either. So to say one deck does it more than another.
You say a little bit
wrong.
like, I mean, I mean, neither Jocelyn and I are saying this though. You're kind of like picking your own fight.
No. There is a prevail. Have you gone to our Hearthstone recently? Do you just not go to the subreddit?
No, I do, but you're
Okay.
it's just like, well, let me pick up the deck that Garrett and Jocelyn are playing right now. Like I don't know what kind of reaction you're trying to incite from me, other than to say that really the only thing I'm sick of is Face Hunter, because I do think that is the easiest deck on the face of the planet to play.
Here's what you should do then: play it for a while, and then come back to us and tell us how you think after playing it for a while. But I'm just saying, don't judge it before you've done it.
I have.
Do it.
I've done it every. I've had a Face Hunter for like the last 3 seasons, because when I just get annoyed with Face Hunter, I think it was a Brian Kibler tweet towards the end of this last season was, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become Face Hunter.
It's obvious that losing to Hunter when they just go for your face the entire game is very frustrating.
Yeah, that's why I've got if you look through my decks, I've got all my decks, and then there's just a Hunter that just says talentless bullshit, and that's what I pick when I get
that
frustrated.
being said, Brian Kibler switched to it and then finished at like 250 on the legend ladder. So
I'm not saying it's
just
not
a
effective.
shitty player then?
I'm not
So he switched to the Hunter, and then he's just he's just really bad. And
There definitely is an elaborate coin
know.
flip being involved in it. You
I don't
can.
know.
There's still
disagree.
bad draws. There's still anyway. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm
Yeah,
going to just end this discussion and move into news.
Good news, everyone!
Just a reminder, you can submit stories to the TAC subreddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. Now, we talked a little bit about this on our patron call-in episode from last week, but it's worth bringing up again because it's obviously the biggest news since we last recorded, which is the Undertaker change. Undertaker did end up getting nerfed. No longer gets +1/+1 every time a death rattle is played. It just gets +1 attack every time a death rattle minion is played. Big change.
Yeah, big
Yes.
change.
And it did not get buffed to a 1/3 or anything like that either.
No. It's still a 1/2.
It's a 1/2, and basically, if you play it and then coin something else on turn 1, the highest you can get it is a 2/2. So you're not a 2/3 all of a sudden on turn 1, and you're not then a 3/4 on turn 2. This is exactly the perfect change, and I think we even predicted that this would be a change that would make sense on this show. If you were to change it, what would you do? I think this was one of the ones that we kind of all settled on as one that would make sense. So good job, Blizzard. I think we all said too. Like, well, Jocelyn.
Not all of us. Not all of us.
But that if you're gonna make a change, we trust you that you're gonna make the right one. I think they made the right
yes,
one.
I did say that. But
Yeah.
I was really hoping that they weren't going to nerf it, but they seem to have made everybody happy. So, or mostly
You really
everybody.
think how many games have you played? You really think that this change is like negative? This is a negative effect on Hearthstone?
No, and I was never saying that. I wish that we had innovated enough so that a nerf wasn't needed, I guess, is my my point of view on this. I know I'm going to take crap for it, but I would always rather see changes to decks as opposed to changes to cards. I think this one's on the players. But, I mean, obviously Blizzard is watching the numbers, and if after 9 months it was a change that was needed, then it's a change that was needed. And I trust them to know that, obviously. So, I'm behind it, and I think they made the right change. So, yeah, no, I'm happy with it. It's fine.
I love this change.
I know.
I think it's absolutely correct. Yeah,
I'm so stoked about it.
I don't think in this case the onus is on the players at all to take the couple of cards that they put in that combat Death Rattle. The problem is that the cards they put in don't combat this card. They combat the other cards that they played around it. So those didn't make sense, and those don't do anything, unless they gave everybody a 1 mana deal 2 damage card. They have to give every class a 1 mana deal 2 damage card. Would be like the only way they could deal with this without nerfing that card. Right? Like, how else would you do this? Like,
well, I mean,
Purifier doesn't do it. It kills the haunted creeper.
Oh, exactly. Even if Scarlet Purifier did do it, that's only for one class.
Yeah,
and exactly. It doesn't do it. So, yeah. No, I mean, you have Leper Gnome, which is 1 mana and probably is going to deal 2 damage, but.
But like so you play an Undertaker, and then I'm like, cool, Leper Gnome. Now you play another Death Rattle minion, and you just kill my Leper Gnome for free.
Oh, right, exactly.
Like
exactly.
What I'm saying is, everybody needed like a smite to deal with this. Everybody needed an arcane shot to deal with this, and only 2 classes had that. One mana deal 2 damage card.
And those only worked if they didn't go on turn, or didn't get the coin and didn't have another thing to go down on it, and then you would need either a fiery war axe or a frostbolt or a like deadly poison dagger. There were ways to deal with it, but the thing is that
I guess this is kind of my point, is that it was a very specific way to deal with it for pretty much every class, but every class did have that specific way to deal with it. Same way as whoever played the Undertaker had to have a very specific draw to have Undertaker coin Leper Gnome.
Well, the thing is if they had if they had a 1 card answer, not all classes did. It was 2 cards out of 30 in your deck. So you better hope to God you have it in your hand, or you just lost the game on turn 1.
But again, though, the answer always costs more than the question, and the question was like Undertaker is just way too simple to build a deck around, and it's too hard to build a deck around beating Undertaker, and you shouldn't have 1 card that requires everyone to build a deck around beating. You just shouldn't have that. If I'm playing like a control warrior, I obviously have Fiery War Axe, right? But should I then also like be including like really weird things just to make sure if I don't get that I can deal with this? Or if I'm playing Druid and what I want in my opening hand is I want to get like Wild Growth and Innervate and stuff and put out a big thing. Should I then also have to take the deck I'm trying to build and then also put in a way to deal with it's just, you can't make every deck have to deal with this card, and every deck had to deal with this card, and a lot of times they just lost because they didn't have the tools to do it if they were going to try to build a deck that was built around what they were trying to do. So this 1 card was just too OP in the situation that it was the best in, which is I get it on turn 1, and it's really easy when you play Death Rattle Hunter to just always mulligan everything for Undertaker.
Yeah.
And nothing in your deck is like that high costed anyway, and so they made the right call. Now it's just like it's never gonna take over a game, but it's still gonna be a pretty good card in an aggressive deck. It's still gonna do a lot of damage if you can get it out on turn 1 and the other person can't deal with it. But it's never gonna just be impossible to deal with. It'll never be a 5/6 on turn 4 ever again. That's all I'm saying, and that's great.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. So, again, there's so much to talk about. We kind of need to move along. If folks want to hear more about my thoughts on it, you can head over to hearthhead.com right now. I have a piece up on the Undertaker change. And cards, I think, may be on the chopping block next. I throw a little shade at Big Game Hunter. So
real quick, though, before we move on, a lot of people are talking about, like, Dr. Boom now needs to get changed. And I agree that Dr. Boom is really difficult to deal with, but in my experience, Dr. Boom on turn 7 it's much easier to deal with than what Undertaker was, which is on turn 1 impossible
That's
to deal with.
The same thing
And
I've been
that's the
bringing up.
difference, you know.
Yeah, I've been seeing the same thing from folks, and it's just like, well, that's okay because it's turn 7. Something should be strong on turn 7. Something shouldn't be game defining on turn 1.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's 1 mana. It's too strong for 1 mana, and make it like a 2/2 for 2 or something that then does the same thing would also have been maybe an okay change. But the fact is, it came out on turn 1, and then it just, boom, game's over. That's it. Game's over. Yeah. Dr. Boom coming down on turn 7 is not often like, oh my god, it's game over.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I got a BGH, or I got a polymorph or an equality, or
something can be dealt with by that point in the game.
I can at least neuter it a little bit. Yeah, the boom bots are still annoying, but it's okay to have good cards. It's just
I love the boom bots.
I love the boom bots too. They're they're my little champions, man. I love just sending them in and then seeing where the damage falls. Fun randomness, damn it.
And
Fun
it makes
randomness.
really funky turns where you really have to think about what you're going to do. Like, what's the optimal way to play this turn out? Even if you're the guy who played Dr. Boom.
I was about to say, I had
like they play Sylvanas or something. You're like, oh god, okay, what do I do now? Oh my god, okay.
Yep. I had multiple games today where I went, damn it, sequencing, because I did, like with the boom bots, I did things in the wrong order and it cost me dearly. So, I don't know. I like Dr. Boom where he is.
I'm okay with Dr. Boom. It's fine. I actually think it would be a buff if they made him like a 5/5 or something. That would be a buff. The fact that the game deals with it,
exactly,
is where it should be. Yeah, maybe make it a 7/5 or something. I don't know, but.
No, leave it alone.
See a big change there. I just wanted to see it be somewhat balanced. I think it still is. People call it Dr. Balance now. I think it might need a change, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yep. Anyways, the Hearthstone World Championship for 2015 has now been really kind of sussed out in incredibly fine detail. Zaraya, we talked about her kind of mentioning it a few weeks back, but it was really kind of lax on the details. We knew it was going to be similar to last year with the regions and whatnot, but what the regions were, how everything was going to plan out, what the format was, which was the thing I was personally very interested to see. All of that is now out. We know what it is. And without trying to be too boring, let's talk about it. I tried to boil this down to its essence. The post is massive, and I highly recommend folks, if you're super interested in this and you want to hear more about it, to go to, the official Hearthstone site and check it out.
Even then, I got halfway through that post and went, ugh, okay, too much information. I am never going to qualify for this, so whatever.
It is a lot, but it's super interesting. So to kind of start off, you need to know what the regions are, because that's how everyone's going to funnel into the 16-player World Championship that we'll see probably at BlizzCon this fall. So there's 4 major regions. You've got the Americas, which consists of United States and Canada, are lumped into one chunk, and they have 6 spots for the Americas champion, or for the championship, and then they have Latin America, which is all South America, which has 2 spots. So every region, there's 4 regions, there's 8 slots per region that go to a 32-player qualifier, and then it gets whittled down to the final 16 for the World Championship. So then we have Europe, which is just all of Europe. So 8 slots from Europe. We have China, which is all of China. 8 slots for China. Then we have Asia Pacific for the final 8 slots, and that's the one that's divvied up the most. You have South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, and Australia and New Zealand, all with 2 or 1 spots each to make up the 8 players that'll be coming in from Asia Pacific. So there's the regions, and that'll help you understand the regional qualifiers.
There you go.
So there's going to be a regional qualifier. Obviously, 4 regional qualifiers are going to be 40-man double elimination tournaments. So there'll be 4 of these, 1 for each region. The players are going to be seeded in based on their 2015 Hearthstone point standings. Last year, folks were getting points or just winning straight-up slots from a few select tournaments.
Yeah, they actually had points, kind of.
Yeah, well, that's how the ladder thing
worked. People were still
worked.
seeded, but it wasn't quite as... It just wasn't quite as spelled out as it is this time.
Yeah, it's much more unified this year, and like you said, very much spelled out. A lot, pretty much everything's going to kind of have this Hearthstone point system, with the exception of the Fireside Gathering champions.
Yeah,
so apparently they're going to have select Fireside Gatherings are going to have tournaments, open tournaments you can go play in, and if you place high in them, you'll play in the Fireside Gathering Championship qualifier, and if you win that, you get a 24th place seed in one of these 40-man tournaments.
I'm assuming though that, yeah, I mean that when those things actually happen, that they'll have some more information on them.
Yeah,
I was assuming that they were just going to say that this Fireside Gathering is worth a certain number of points, but that's kind of not where they went with it. They just kind of said, yeah, this will get you into this last seed or whatever. We'll fill out. We have 23 that we got from them, and then we'll have the 24th guy. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but whatever.
I mean, I like it. I like that there's a chance that just through local tournament play, you can just get a seeded spot into your region's qualifier. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, the fact is that getting 2 points during any qualifying period means literally I made top 100 twice. So anybody who did that twice has 2 points. They can then play in that last call tournament.
The last call open, which is however many people decide to show up who got at least 2 points this year.
Yeah, which last year was anybody who had a legend card back. So this, I mean, to me, this is okay. It narrows it down way before.
Last year was I would call that
a cluster F of grand proportions.
I would call it because it is exciting Hearthstone action. I would call it a cluster fun.
A cluster fun. That's what I meant. Cluster F stood
What
for
did you
fun.
think he meant?
Yeah. Come on, man.
I'm just saying.
It was super fun though. That's where I first heard of Karma, and I'm glad I did because she's awesome.
So you're going to have the regional championships. The top 8 players from each region are going to compete in those. The top 4 from those 4 separate regional champions will be the final 16 players moving on to the World Championship later this fall. So that is how that is all. Yes, probably at the yet unannounced.
It's going to be BlizzCon.
Yet unannounced BlizzCon, even though Mumper is making BlizzCon 2015 jokes on Twitter today, making me head scratch and go, dude, is it announced or not? And then he didn't reply, and I was like, thanks, Stockton. Thank you so much.
Can we talk about the format though? Because I think that's where
exactly
this has to change how everyone's doing tournaments, right?
It absolutely will. So the format is going to be. It says, I'm just going to go right down what they wrote here. All matches will be best of 5. The first player to win 3 games within the match is considered the winner of the match and advances. How does this best of 5 work, you might ask? Each player has to submit decks from 3 unique classes prior to each stage of the event. Players may submit new decks prior to each stage of the event. So they have to stick with the same 3 for this whole thing, which makes sense. Kind of expect that. They also
not through the whole thing, but through each stage.
Each stage, yes.
Yeah, because the meta will shift and players will come with new decks and whatever. But
right, but like
once you select your decks for that stage, those are your decks.
Yeah, but if you you did really good last week, and then you're moving on to like the round of I don't know the 8-player or the 8-player qualifier. You don't have to stick with the same decks. You can swap. They said a player must win 1 game with each of those 3 decks to win the match. When a player wins a game, the deck used by the winning player cannot be used for the remainder of the match. And
my god!
And the losing player can keep the same deck used or switch if they want to. And then here's the big one: players will be told what classes their opponent has available, but they won't know which class is picked until they both have picked. So it's going to be a blind matchup.
But
this is so exciting.
This is the thing. Okay, let's say I'm Firebat, right? And I'm playing the finals, and I win with my Druid. Game 1. Druid off the table. Now, Tiddler Celestial goes, okay, no more Druid. Now, I just lost with this deck. I can now pick any of my 3 decks. I know the 2 he has left. I don't know exactly what archetype they might be. Well, he will at that point because he's watched the games. But at that point, he can look at the rest of his decks and go, what do I think matches up the best against the 2 picks he has left as the loser? This is amazing. Like,
so
you're
good.
no longer just like trying
I think giving like loser is like if you lost game 1, give the loser a bit of an advantage, because then even if it does pay off and they win with it, they can't use the deck they just won with. So I like it. It does seem a little bit knee jerky. It almost seems like a direct reaction to criticism from last year's finals with that
There's
Druid
just not
sweep.
going to be 3-0 sweeps. Like,
Exactly.
There's not going to be 3-0 sweeps anymore. You're going to have 3 decks that you're comfortable with, first of all. You can't have a deck that you think you could 3-0 with. And even if I lose the first 2, I could definitely 3-0 with my Druid. Like, that's not how it's going to work anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to have decks, 3 decks you feel comfortable with, and then the loser's always going to have an opportunity to counter the remaining decks that he thinks you might have, rather than just counter the deck he knows you're going to play next. So game 2s are going to be really interesting. Game 3s, game 1s are always really interesting, and then I feel like the tournaments kind of get a little stale after game 1 because it's like blind picks go up against each other, and you get these kind of fantastic games. And then the game 2, 3, 4, 5 get like worse and worse as time goes on because people just pick the deck they know is going to win.
Yeah, it just becomes counters, and that's you're absolutely right. This is just from a narrative standpoint, or like talking about the next game that's coming up in the downtime is going to be so much more interesting. The first game is going to be interesting because it's a blind pick, or a blind matchup, and then game 2 is going to be because you're going to be talking about so and so just lost. What do they pick now? They have these decks at their disposal. They have all 3 decks at their disposal for game 2. The loser, and I'm very excited about this.
Now, not only that, but let's say that there's like one deck that is just the best deck right now. That deck is not going to just win people tournaments. The ban system, like there was a time, right, where Unleash the Hounds was 2 mana and you could play your Buzzard and your just Hunter was just so good. So it's like, okay, well, let's give everybody bans now, so we can now ban Hunter. So now nobody ever plays Hunter. Now it's not going to work like that. Now it's going to be okay. The best deck, we'll all play it, but we'll win 1 game with it. So even if there's a best deck out there, I can only ever get 1 game with that deck. And now I have to still win 2 more games with 2 other decks. So there's never going to be like, he got lucky and he picked Druid first, and Druid is just the best, and I just couldn't catch up. All my other decks sucked against it. Like, it's never going to happen again now because he has to win with 2 other decks. Now the Druid's gone. The best deck in Hearthstone is now gone. How do you win with Rogue and Paladin, right? Like something like that. That's going to be really exciting, I think, to watch too. Is they're going to have 3 decks that they think are going to go well against whatever, because they're going to have to win a game with them. No throwaway decks, no dominating decks, none of that. I think this is a good step in the right direction. I don't know if it's perfect, but it's good. It's better.
I agree. It's definitely going to help with the stale factor.
Yeah.
We're going to have some really fun matchups. We're going to, mirror matchups already happen, but I feel like they're going to happen a little more here, and I actually find mirror matchups super interesting.
Sure.
So
I'm excited to see what other tournaments do, actually, as well, too. Like,
I'm sure.
I think everyone's going to start switching to this.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of folks are gonna start emulating this, because after that's how Last Hero Standing became de facto. It was like, well, they used it for the show tournament the first time Hearthstone was at BlizzCon, so I guess let's use that. No one really. Eventually, people stopped.
Be the best.
Everyone finally started stopping and thinking like, well, maybe it's actually not that good, but it took a while.
Yeah.
So.
What are your guys' thoughts on like the coup system that they were using for Pinnacle, or like the ESL? What do they call the ESL thing? It's like the blind pick stage or whatever.
I forget exactly what they call the ESL one, but I like I'm not familiar with the Pinnacle one, but I like the ESL one a lot. And honestly, the reasons I like that one are very similar to the reasons why I like this new format that they're using for the World Championship, because you get these blind matchups.
So what was the format? What did they do that was different?
So what Pinnacle did was they had the coup system, coup COUP, like coup,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Not like coup, like
Not like
aw.
like I'm super coup.
No, like coup de grace.
But it was the coup system where if you actually waited until you even saw your opening hand, and you could coup up until then. So if you won a game or whatever, or lost the game, didn't matter. You could do it anytime. And if you didn't like your opening hand or didn't like the matchup, you could say coup. I think you just had to say coup. No, I think you just told your opponent, okay, I'm using my coup, and you essentially conceded the game. but the other person they lost their deck. You threw their deck out, and then you kept yours, and then they now had to pick another deck.
It's kind of like
four decks.
It was like a soft ban in a weird way.
It's a ban system, but it's a ban that happens when you decide to have it happen, not at the beginning of the whole.
And it didn't lock it out for the whole series, correct? Because what happened once you saw everyone's decks?
It did for most of the tournament. For the finals, it didn't. Strivecrow actually won the Pinnacle 2 tournament, and because he went through the winner's bracket, had the option of reviving a deck. So
that's what
even
it was.
If Life Coach, or Rope Coach as he's known, did coup one of his decks, he could actually revive it and bring it back. So, I mean, it was kind of interesting, but I prefer what ESL is doing, honestly. I like what ESL did, where it was like we play 3 matches with all 3 different decks. Each person plays all 3 of their decks. That's all picked like you don't know what the other guy picked. I just say, I'm going to go Warrior, Hunter, Rogue. The other guy goes, I'm going to go Mage, Shaman, Priest. Neither of them knows before they do their 3 in a row. But then the last 2 matches, if they get there, they get to do whatever they want. There's no bans.
It's like a wild card or a wild deck.
Yeah, exactly. And so that meant like Amaz could never have his Priest banned in those final 2 decks. Fireback could never have Druid banned in the final picks. Like it was actually pretty cool because, you know, like Kibler had said, you got to see players who are known for decks play those decks.
Yeah.
Kit Kat's always picked Warrior when it came down to the final two decks.
And this format for a World Championship, if they just they don't need that because it's going to be best of 5, and so with 3 decks each, you're good. But if they went beyond that, I would love to see them tack that on. I'd love to see if they went to a best of 7, give us that kind of wild card format at the end, where play what you want.
Yeah, like if you kind of combine both, right? Like loser picks, winner has to do a new deck, loser does whatever he wants, that type of thing, and then had this kind of tacked on, so it was like maybe like win 5 to win the whole thing. Like it could be awesome. There could be some pretty amazing things, and you can still only have 4 decks, but kind of have like decks come back or something like that. I see a lot of possibilities of really cool things that people haven't thought of yet, and it's exciting. I'm excited to see the 1 deck tournament though. I'm still waiting to see that.
Oh, super! Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this
I guess we just have to do it, huh? Do we just have to do it?
Well, I read on Brian Kibler's thing that he was going to do it, but
yeah, he said he was going to do it. Yeah.
He's off running around playing in Fate Reforged Grand Prix right now. So
actually, HearthstoneOpen.com has already done it. I don't know anything about how it went down or anything. That was not like a streamed event, but if you're signed up for Hearthstone, I think it's HearthstoneOpen.com. If you are signed up for that, they send you emails every now and then about like tournaments they have coming up, and they're essentially like buy-in tournaments. Like pay $5 to join, and then there's a prize pool. So they did that though. They did like 10-card sideboarding and 1 deck, and I don't know who won or how it went or anything like that, but I was intrigued. I wish I could have played in it, but didn't get a chance to. We're actually going to start, side note, but we're actually going to start doing tournaments at the SF Game Night, like Hearthstone tournaments, and stream them and stuff. So we're still in the talks of like how we're going to do it and what the format will be and how we're going to, like, can we have 16 or just 8 or whatever? Is it some sort of a series? We don't know. We're talking about all that, but all of this is like intriguing me to think about new ways to do this. And I'm excited to come up with something to kind of differentiate ourselves from everybody else and see if we can come up with something that's really cool.
Yeah, I think for local stuff, since so much of how we as average Joes play the game is based around really kind of the 1 deck we ladder with, I think single deck would be really interesting for a local land tournament. I use quotations because it's not actually land. You still got to have an internet connection, but you know what I mean. Yeah. All in a local like site playing on the same network. So.
Yeah, like Joss, you're about to take on the ladder, right? Like this is your thing this month, right? I'm taking on the ladder. Yeah. So if you're gonna take on the ladder, you kind of pick a deck and go, right?
Well,
does it kind of make sense to have a tournament kind of mirror that experience because that's what everyone does.
That's true. I'm not actually doing that. I have 3 different decks right now that I'm kind of moving between. And I guess it's partly to try to find which one works for me, which one works on the ladder. But at the same time, I just don't want to get bored. I'm so worried that I'm going to, just play the same deck over and over and over and face the same dudes, and it's going to be really, 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 really grindy. So I'm switching between 3 different decks, and I don't know. It would be really interesting to see a one deck tournament, but I mean, I love what they're doing. I just want to see different decks, and the same thing that we talked about before, and Kibler said, and everything else. Like, I just want to see the people play the decks that they're known for. I want to see people have to change, which I think that's the best thing about this, is that, even if you do get somebody playing the deck that they're known for, they can still only do it once. It's awesome. So yeah,
Well,
I think it would be interesting.
You're 2 days in. I think when you get a little further in, I think we're gonna see. We're gonna see that like your stance on this changes. Like you're gonna be like,
Yeah, that's the thing with me. I flop around a lot in the busting into the single digit ranks, and then once I get 9 and above, I really kind of lock in. But then I start changing the cards out in my favorite deck. It's just like BGH is working right now. BGH is not freaking working, and it's like you do this ebb and flow. It's well,
fun. And I am getting to that point with the Paladin deck, actually, where there's a couple cards that I've noticed that just over and over and over, they just sit there and don't do anything. So I'm just like, it's getting to the point. I'm going to have to start ripping things out. So I can see that.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's how it works. You pick a deck that you like, and then you just alter it as the meta shifts. Yep. That's how it's worked for me anyway. I mean, I actually finished last season at rank 2, and hold on. The deck I was playing, which, okay, so I've changed it a couple times. It had a 71% win rate by the end of the season. So if I had continued playing it or whatever, that's a pretty good win rate, right? But I had to change that thing so many times to maintain that win rate. Like, Black Knight came in, Black Knight went out. Suddenly a big game hunter. I need 2 of them. Oh, big game hunter. I only need 1. I don't need any. Like, it's just constantly changed. So, yeah, that's how it's going to be if you're really going to make a run at this. I'm excited for you though, Jocelyn. I want updates.
Yeah.
and I have to. Well, right now I'm at 16, almost 15, and I've been really trying not to push my luck and get burnt out. So I've kind of done a couple of ranks a day, and I'm just, once I hit a wall, I'm stopping instead of trying to grind it through. If I start losing 2-3 matches in a row, I'm just like, okay, nope, I need to take a break for now, because I'm one of those people who'll just get more and more and more frustrated, and then I just start losing all of my stars. So
unfortunately, I think you're gonna have to just push through those.
I know,
really
but I mean, like, I go away for 20 minutes, half an hour. I come back, like, I have my goals every day. I hit my goal, and then I stop.
That's smart, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, and everyone keeps, some people are being like, oh, why'd you choose the shortest month? Why'd you choose the shortest month? If I can't do it in 28 days, 30 or 31, not going to make a difference.
That's true. Yeah. Start on day
really
1. Let's go.
Yeah. Speaking and speaking of February, now we've got obviously got the new card back. Hooray! We're used to this by now. It has to do with the Lunar New Year. But the thing that's interesting is actually in China, Taiwan, and Korea, hero emotes for hello have been changed. They all say Happy New Year. So I'm curious when and if we'll ever get something like this here. Like, I don't know if we'll get Halloween-themed greetings or anything like that. Clearly, we are not seeing that live on the North American.
I don't use emotes very much, but it hasn't changed for us, right?
Yeah, no. As Tash, who puts some of our stories together, puts NA and EU remain culturally oblivious to the Lunar New Year. So, there.
I am laughing. I just had to mute my mic because the hail.
Give out like little red envelopes that had nothing in them.
Oh,
that was it.
Gotcha. But that's more than I did, man.
That was the extent of
you are more,
celebrating the Lunar New Year.
Well, you know what? Actually, last year I forgot I did go to a Chinese New Year party.
That's okay.
And it was
hold
awesome.
on. TM18 just made a damn good point. So we got Lunar. Where's our Black History emotes? What's up with that?
Yeah.
I don't even try to guess what those would be.
They'd be like hello and hi. They'd be the same things. What are you talking about? They'd be the same things.
Oh, chat room. Let's talk some.
Amazing.
So we talked
it's
about
February though. It's right. He's right. It's February.
We talked about esports getting kind of cooler and a lot better thanks to the format change for the World Championship. Let's talk a little bit about how it's it's had a rough week.
It has had a rough week. Holy crap!
There's been a lot of drama within esports, and there's a lot to talk about. But I think the one everyone wanted us to talk about the most, at least I saw the most tweets about and discussion around the Reddit and everything, is the Hosty. Is the one I think we're going to talk about the most.
Yeah.
So Hearthstone player Hosty, he has been released from Team Archon. This followed accusations that he was stream sniping during the Pinnacle tournament. Screenshots of Hosty, they've got his camera view in the actual game. It showed up on Reddit with what appeared to be the reflection of the Pinnacle's Twitch stream in a frame picture behind his head. When I say appears to be, it turned out it was. So immediately pitchforks came out, everyone saying, Hosty's cheating, kick him from the team. He got kicked from the team. Hosty made a post on the Hearthstone subreddit saying, quote, "I didn't think anything of it at the time because I did not have the stream up during my games to gain a competitive advantage. I was focused on the match. I had the stream up to view the previous one. I regret having left the stream open while I was playing and apologize to Life Coach for having given the impression that I wanted to see his hand during our series. I respect him and the game more than that," end quote. And even all the more confusing because nothing can ever be black and white when it comes to esports drama. Team Archon founder Amaz tweeted that he does not actually believe Hosty cheated, which everyone goes, well, you are Archon, so why'd you kick him off the team?
Yeah, he just said basically with a tweet pretty soon after it happened that it had to do with other things. It wasn't just the Pinnacle drama, and I'm just like, but then what are the other things? Like,
well, right, like
what's going on?
At a certain point, it's just like, well, the timing sure seems very convenient.
Exactly.
Yeah. It definitely had to do with this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this
is the politically correct thing to say.
And if you're,
it didn't have to do with this, but it did. It absolutely did.
Yeah, and one more big point that should be made is he didn't even win these games.
No, he didn't win the series. But he.
You can cheat and still lose, though.
I'm aware.
Plenty of people ghost other streamers and lose
and still
games.
lose. I mean, yeah, you can still get the worst hand in the world, and it's like, well, nothing.
The fact is, though, I'm sorry, dude cheated. Dude was definitely cheating. I watched the tournament. I was watching it as it happened, and Life Coach is a very slow player, and Hosty is not known as a slow player, and yet he was playing incredibly slow, and he was roping on more turns than he should have. When the play was pretty obvious, he was roping. I'm sorry that I don't believe a damn word this guy is saying. He had the stream open. His eyes were darting to the other monitor. He was cheating. And even if you're playing the same, even if you're saying, I'm looking at the last match, in a best of whatever match, you shouldn't even be looking at the last match you just played. Mm-hmm. Because that's seeing what was in the hand.
Right, exactly. Even
what's in the deck that wasn't revealed to you. There's no way.
And it was only a 10-minute delay too, right? So
10-minute delay, turns go a minute and a half, right?
Yeah.
It's a minute and a half on each turn. That means if I go to the rope and you go to the rope, that's 3 turns. So if we do that every 3 turns, I now every 3 turns see what you had in your hand 3 turns ago, which means I know that you have Ragnaros, or I know that you have Alexstrasza, or I know that you have any number of 7, 8, 9 mana cards in your hand, and there's also evidence of him doing it in other tournaments. I'm sorry. I feel for the guy because he kind of had built a Hearthstone career and now it's kind of gone. But
that's a little early to say it's gone,
man.
but
it's a boneheaded move, man.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, whether it kind of comes at whether who gives a crap if you cheated or not. I think if this happened, you shouldn't have the damn stream open. Period. Just because how else do you police? You can't police it, and that's kind of as confused as I am by Amaz's tweet saying I don't think he actually cheated. I still kind of like, I understand there should just be a zero tolerance policy. Like,
but what is Amaz gonna say? Like, he like, so they tweeted like, we released him, anything that doesn't respect the game, we don't have any tolerance for. He did that, and then he said, and then he supported his guy. So he kind of played the politics game in both directions. Is what he did. Yeah, you can't do this. When I played in that Hearthstats thing, I had the chat open, but I couldn't bring myself to even have the stream open. There was a delay on that, but I was like, no, there's no way I have the stream open. I had the chat open because I kind of wanted to just like see what people were saying about me, which was terrible, by the way. I shouldn't have done. But even with a 10-minute delay, I knew that having the stream open was the wrong thing to do. That's the wrong thing to do. You don't look at the actual stream. Don't do that. And yeah, and he made some really weird comments and then deleted them and then came back. I am hosty in our Hearthstone, and yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. You messed up, and you're gonna pay the consequences for it. But I do still feel bad for the kid. It sucks.
The thing is too, though, and chat room has brought this up, is that he the only reason he got caught is because he had a reflective surface behind him. And it's
because he wasn't smart about it.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, is that there are potentially so many people doing the exact same thing. So I really think that somehow we have to figure out as a community, or Blizzard has to put something in place, because I mean, like, Blizzard came in with the whole do not disturb mode after that whole thing. But I mean,
hello,
like,
Mom.
yeah. So I really think that we need to somehow figure out how we're going to fix this, or make it less possible, because just because one dude did it and got caught doesn't mean he's the only dude doing it. I'm sure that there's more.
No. Well, okay.
Even in these like official tournaments.
How about this? Everyone needs to just chill the hell out about the whole live thing and accept the fact that we're going to record tournaments. We're going to pre-record tournaments. And they're just going to play their matches and send in their VODs to the guys, and they're going to edit them together, and you're going to get a nice product at the end. And why does it need to be live so bad? Because if you watch that Pinnacle tournament, not only was that going on, we can't ignore the fact that also the stupid-ass
DDoS attack.
Blizzard Squad bitches, like little small-dicked kids DDoSing people. Because they're so sad about their lives. I'm sorry, screw those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, your life is so crappy that the only thing that makes you feel good about yourself is paying $15 a month for some service to kill other people's fun, and then now you think you're some badass? You're not a badass. You're doing nothing productive, and you think you're a badass. No, that's ridiculous. You're an idiot, and you're ruining other people's fun because your life is so crappy. Your life sucks so much that the only thing that makes you happy is making other people's lives suck. No. Like, there's so many things going wrong right now with esports, and the only way to fix it is to acknowledge these problems are real and deal with them. And that means pre-recording events, that means VPNs, that means putting things in place, not using Skype. It means all of those things. That's the only way we're going to deal with these problems, because other people are going to, like, there's the shitty people in the world who are going to do shitty things. And we just have to do our best to not let them do that.
Yeah. So in terms of having recorded tournaments, like, do you think that would actually make a big difference? Because to me, I feel like I wouldn't really care if I knew the match happened 4 hours ago, 5 hours ago, whatever, who cares? Like,
it's the first time it's being showed. That's, I mean,
yeah, exactly. As long as it's the first time I'm catching it when I haven't been spoiled on results. It's not like an actual like sporting event like the Super Bowl. If I hadn't watched the Super Bowl and tried to watch it today, that would suck because I already know what happened, But if it's the first time it's being shown, then it doesn't have to be actually live. Who cares?
Right. As long as like the staff, like the casters and the observers aren't spoiling it on Twitter, that's the only thing I give a crap about.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah,
it's the first time
that's-
it's going to be shown, treat it as the first time and make sure, like, you can do a live tweet, but just make sure it's actually synced up with what you're showing.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Like if I was seriously pursuing a competitive Hearthstone career, I would be way more comfortable playing in a tournament that did what you guys are suggesting, personally. Because it is a digital game, and everyone is just playing in their Ninja Turtle pajama pants, which I'm currently wearing, and in the comfort of their own home with 5 monitors, and they can do whatever the hell they want. It would not be policed by anyone. So,
The fact is, though, I mean, did you guys watch the tournaments that were getting DDoS like crazy? Were you trying to watch them? No. I was trying to watch them, and it was unbelievably terrible.
Right.
Like every match started, and then inevitably at some point during the match, it was like, oh, well, he's disconnected. Okay. Yeah. I guess we go to a break, and then we come back. It's like, well, he got DDoSed, and I'm sorry. We'll try to start the next match. It was insane. Unwatchable. I turned it off and left. I was like, nope. I wanted to watch this tournament. I was excited about this tournament, and now this tournament is ruined because a sad little boy in his room who's never touched a girl in his life.
We get it, Dills. You don't like these people.
No. I'm just saying those people need to know that they're not awesome. They're terrible. They're not awesome. And the guy that their buddy who tells them that he's awesome, he's not awesome either. You guys are all terrible, and you're ruining things for everybody else. So there you go. Whatever. If you guys don't want to hear me say it, fine. But
No, I agree with you. It's just we at some point we need to move on.
All right.
So, yeah. Agreed. Like if this show started getting DDoS on a regular basis, which due to some comments made tonight may just happen, I would just start recording it off air. Like I would do what I had to do to get it done right. And if that's what had to happen, so be it. So
I think that the only kind of issue that we're going to run into is, or like we as a community are going to run into, is if we have something like BlizzCon where we have a big tournament with a live crowd, and then, although I guess they can't watch streams at something like BlizzCon, but
that wouldn't be a problem. Because
that wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I was just thinking if there was ever a live crowd that you couldn't really control the same way that you can control like cast and crew sort of thing, then that's where you'd.
Well, it's a LAN event and everything.
Yeah, your dream hacks, your well, I guess ESL's no, ESL's not. Their championship will be. But
essentially, what happened is they were finding ways in because of Skype, and Skype is a very unsecure program, and Skype needs to fix that as well.
which we
should probably stop using Skype.
Yeah.
Because which as podcasters we've all been saying for years, and then we realize, oh, there's literally no competition except Google Hangouts, which is somehow worse.
Yeah. But apparently there is other ways to do it. It's just there's nothing that works as seamlessly and does all the stuff that we need it to do.
Right.
Yet.
And it's as user friendly. Obviously you have paid services like GoToMeeting and whatnot that work perfectly fine. But damn, man, we're doing this on the cheap. Everyone has a Skype account.
Yeah, nobody can afford to just anyway. It sucks because they're essentially like preying on people who are trying to do something above their means, and that's the easiest people to get. So if they want to be badasses, you should be getting people that are hard to get, not people that are easy to get. So
yeah.
Sucks for everybody else, and those guys all think they're hilarious. I saw all their like Twitters and stuff, and they're all just like stop being a bitch, bro. It's funny, and it's just like, oh, it's just so infuriating.
Oh, it's all troll, and that's why I don't bother. I don't even read it. I refuse to give these people like my eyeballs. I don't even because I absolutely I don't want to. What I don't want is for people listening or you, Dill. I feel like Dill, you know me, you get the point. All I'm trying to do is just like move the show along. I 100% agree with you, and would drop many, many, many more less family-friendly words on my opinion of these pathetic human beings. Were we not trying to keep it PG-13? Although Tiny Dick's comment may have overblown it, but I'll be damned if I'm
we might get in trouble for that one.
So be it. Fine. If this episode gets an explicit tag, I apologize. I refuse to go back into this recording and edit it out on behalf of these jerks. So
the thing is like, yes, don't feed the trolls, don't whatever, but you can't avoid the trolls when you're just trying to like enjoy your Saturday and watch some Hearthstone tournaments. and they're not letting you.
Oh, absolutely.
Now the trolls are now not allowing me to not feed them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
it's just like, oh, okay, mother, you want to?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
you know how we feed them? We put them in jail, and then we feed them like gruel or whatever it is that they feed people in jail. That's how we feed the trolls in this particular case.
Which in this case gains gains attack,
+1
attack and health
turn,
every turn. There you go.
Don't worry, dude. Your gruel's gonna gain +1 every turn.
Brings it back around.
Yeah.
There was a lot of other esports drama this week. We really don't have time to cover it all. To wrap it up, Faramir, D2, and Powder all left iHeartU, and Kit Kats was also kicked off of Team Tempo Storm. You can find all that stuff all around the web. I recommend Daily Doc because our buddy Callum from Scotland writes some awesome articles about all of this stuff. Go check it out. Let's talk some strategy.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
This week, you voted, and unfortunately, Shaman won. So,
We had to do it eventually.
oh, we had to. Absolutely. There's no chance. We're getting down. Now we've got, just Rogue and Hunter left, I think. And that is, I'm not even sure we'll bother voting. Jocelyn, would you rather talk about Rogue or Hunter next week?
Hunter.
All right, we're talking about Hunter next week. No voting. Jocelyn wins. So if you guys don't like that choice, talk to Jocelyn. That's what I just did there.
Thanks, Garrett. Thanks. You just threw me right under that bus.
So let's start talking about the Shaman Goblins versus Gnomes cards. First up in alphabetical order is Ancestor's Call. It is a 4-mana epic spell, and it reads, put a random minion from each player's hand into the battlefield.
Yeah.
So remember
I feel like
last
we're gonna
week?
have very similar conversations this week about shaman cards that we had last week about warrior cards.
Yeah, exactly. That they really haven't done
Shaman
much
got totally
on,
screwed in GVG.
on the ranked. As far as rank's concerned, not a whole lot of effect here. So we're gonna be mostly discussing how a lot of these cards from the view of arena play. Which is to
This
say,
card is awesome. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I was
card is
just
amazing.
about to get to that. It's an auto pick in arena. I mean, it's definitely going to make you win.
No, you never pick this in arena, but what you do is you build a deck that has all the burn spells, and it has
Big,
it has-
huge minions.
big huge minions, and
Hope you
and
don't
what's his
go
name?
against a druid.
No. This is no. Like you put the 7/8 taunter in there. You put what's his name? What's the +5 spell damage? Why am I not thinking of this right now?
Malagos?
Malagos. This is the Malagos card. So you play Malagos for 4 mana, and then you play Crackle and Lightning Bolt and all that stuff, and you OTK with this card.
So
Have you guys not seen this deck? This deck is amazing. All right, I'm playing this deck
Really?
on the ladder this season. Yeah.
Okay,
I saw
need
it.
to find this
I've
deck.
seen lots of people play this already. It's so good. It's such a fun deck. It's
All
not, I'm
I've
not
seen,
saying
all
that
I've
this
played
is like
against is
Zoo or
Checkmate.
something. Yeah, well, yeah. But no, this deck is incredibly fun. Essentially, it's all draw, and then Ancestor's Call is like your win condition. So you empty all the minions out of your hand at one point, and then you play this card, and you get a 4-mana Malagos. And then with 5 spell damage, you could just burn their face down, and it's amazing.
it's very fun. I can't imagine it's superbly consistent.
No, not at all. But the deck is so full of removal and so few minions. Like all the minions are like gnomish inventors and stuff like that. Like every minion like draws a card, and then you have it's like anti-Keobots and like just stuff to kind of like stall the game out until you get to the turn 10-ish type play. And then once you draw Malagos, then you Ancestor's Call. It doesn't matter what the other guy gets because you get a 4-mana and Malagos that then allows you to spend 6 mana on burn spells to the face. So like Crackle is now 8 to 13. So
we have what, Miracle Shaman.
Essentially.
I love it.
yeah.
I love this, man. You sold
Yeah.
me.
I found a
It's cool.
deck list and I posted it in the chat room.
It's cool. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So I mean, this is a thing, man. This is a viable deck. It's not. I'm not gonna say this is gonna top the rankings. Like, no, they're not gonna get number one legend with this, but you will have a damn fun time.
Yeah. If you're looking for a good new fun shaman deck that actually can win, it's going to be one of these like wild card decks where your opponent's just not going to know how to react to you.
Yeah. But then things like Feral Spirit, like that's not a minion, right? So you can, if you have Feral Spirit in your hand, you can play this and know that it's going to be Malagos. You know what I mean? So it's very minion light, very spell heavy, and just kind of stalls out until you get that big turn, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
you win a lot.
It's really cool. On the more kind of normal play aspect, like an arena and whatnot, it's a pretty awful card. It's just as likely for you to come out ahead on this as it is for your opponent. It does not trigger battle cries, which I feel like now is kind of a given, but just in case you're wondering, it does not.
No. I would never pick this in arena unless my deck was already really late game oriented, and maybe it made sense, and it was up against terrible cards. Arena, it's awful.
Yeah, this is a like a begrudging pick if you pick it. So moving on to Crackle, which I'm sure everyone's like, what's Garrett gonna say? And I'm just not gonna get into it.
No, it's the Crackle conversation.
Have you changed your mind yet?
No, I still hate it, but it's absolutely a playable card. You're gonna see this in shaman decks. There's no reason not to run it. It's removal. Done.
Now that said, though,
there you go.
Not many shaman decks are even around right now, and the ones that are, I think, are only really like running one of this.
Right, because you already have Lightning Bolt, which is consistent, and one less mana.
Yeah, but I'm starting to see people like do things like take Lightning Bolt out in favor of this because you have Rockbiter weapon and stuff like that, and you'd rather not overload on turn one. So I'm starting to see people kind of go that direction, and then Crackle is like a potential finisher, a potential kill a minion I couldn't normally kill type of card, but not a card that I build around anymore. Unless you're playing the Ancestors Call deck. Unless you're playing that deck.
I mean, you play it very similarly to you strategize around Crackle the same way you strategize around Implosion. It's like, all right, I'm gonna use this. It would be awesome if it ticked for this. If it didn't, this is my backup plan.
Yeah,
that's how you play with Crackle.
Yeah, or you play like a crazy burn shaman or something like that. But
yeah, what you just talked about, actually. yeah, you play Malagos and you're like, yeah, Crackle.
Yeah, but this card has disappointed me more than it's done well for me in the limited time I've tried it, and I'm less excited about Crackle than I ever have been at this moment.
Yeah,
the artwork is cool though, right? The little goblin dude getting shocked through his brain. That's
anytime gnomes or goblins get hurt, blown up, or otherwise murdered in Azeroth, I'm a happy man. So you go electrocuting goblin man who's looks like his fly's coming undone and kind of offends me.
Well, when you get shocked through the brain, things happen.
Yeah, but Crackle's, it's fine. And in Arena, solid pick. Anything that could potentially remove something is a good card in Arena. So, Jocelyn, anything else on Crackle?
No, I don't mind it. But I love random, so.
Yeah. Dunamal Shaman is next. It's a 4-mana rare minion, has 5 attack, 4 health, has Wind Fury, Overload 1, and it has a 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. I'm just realizing now that I didn't actually read Crackle last turn, but I'm assuming by now, if you listen to this show, you know Crackle by heart, just because of the history it has with, me.
Yeah. It's a popular card on this program.
Yeah. So Dunamal Shaman, it's another ogre. As with all of the ogres introduced in Goblins vs. Gnomes, they have really bad eyesight. Apparently, they have a 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy.
This card is actually pretty good in Arena.
Yeah,
from my experience.
It's an exciting Arena card. I agree with you.
It's a card that's tough to deal with because you'd be surprised. Like 4 health on turn 4. It's like, and the fact that it can attack twice. I've seen this card kind of take over Arena games. Constructed, I don't think it really belongs in any deck, but in Arena, sometimes this comes out and you're like, oh no, what do I do now? I can't deal with this.
It's Arena. I
10 damage next turn.
Yeah, I don't always have removal. This sucks. This is
Yeah.
10 potential damage on board. It's gonna go somewhere. Like we talked about last week with the Ogre Warmaul weapon. As much as I hate it, it is damage going somewhere, and it's definitely going to be an enemy at the very least. So
Yeah, exactly. Like
yeah.
if it
I
said
still
it
love
potentially
the
attack your
ogre.
own things, then that would be.
I like all of the ogres in Arena. Like, I really don't have an issue with any of them except for the Warmaul. And even then, it's like, well, I'm not guaranteed to get Fiery Warag, so I guess I'll pick it. They're solid Arena picks.
Yeah. What were you saying, Jocelyn? You saying that you picked this card in Arena too, or were you?
Oh
saying
yeah,
something
no,
else?
I love the ogres. I love the whole 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy or get through taunt, hit stealth, all that kind of stuff. I really like it. I like what they did with it. It's interesting. It's different. It's random.
Did you guys see? Like, I get the sense like Shaman kind of got a little bit of everything with their cards,
But not enough
there's
to
no-
really be powerful in any one way,
Yeah, like I feel like that's why Shaman is like struggling in
Yeah,
this
they kind
current
of
meta.
dabbled in everything and mastered nothing.
Yeah,
Yes.
like they got the Crackle, like the random whatever. They got the Dunamal Shaman with the random whatever. It's like, okay, but Warrior seems to be if you were going to make an Ogre deck, you'd do Warrior deck. Ancestor's Call is like, okay, but do Shaman have like, yeah, that seems like it would be amazing in like Druid or something, right? Then the next card we're going to talk about, Neptulon. It's like, okay, so, but are they the Murloc deck? Not really.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird. Like they're all over the place.
It's like Blizzard went, okay, they need some healing, they need some card draw, probably another weapon, and like just kind
And
of
a random ogre with
Yeah.
Wind Fury. Yeah.
can't forget the Wind Fury. There's not enough Wind Fury, so we'll throw a couple of those in there. And it's just like they tried to fix all the problems with Shaman and didn't hit any of them like nail on the head,
Yeah. If Dunamal Shaman gets one turn to attack, though, it's
It's devastating.
pretty
yeah.
badass. Yeah.
It's
As long as it doesn't get removed the turn it's played. And the Overload 1, it's essentially 5 mana. I don't know. Like, it's fine. I can even see this card getting, like, Overload 2 or something and still being kind of okay in Arena. In its current state, I pick it in Arena, actually.
In
Pretty
Arena.
often.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Arena got way more interesting for Shaman. Let's
Sure.
talk about, you brought up Neptulon. Let's go ahead and start talking about him. He's the legendary for Shaman. He's 7 mana, legendary minion, 7 attack, 7 health, and reads Battle Cry, add 4 random Murlocs to your hand, overload 3. This works like Web Spinner. It's coming out of thin air. These are not cards from your deck. They're
Nope.
just, it's manifest for Murloc
four random
cards.
Murlocs. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I just, this is the first legendary I opened in my first big stack of Goblins versus Gnomes
Yeah, me too.
cards, and I just, at the time I was like, okay, I'm mildly interested because I'm watching some pro, because it's the day GVG releases. I'm watching a bunch of pro streams. Everyone's trying to make Murloc Shaman work, and at the time it seemed to be working, and then about 3 days later, everyone goes, wait, this is actually terrible, guys. Stop playing it.
Well, here's the thing, though. Murloc Shaman is actually terrible. Neptulon and Random Shaman and the other Shaman is actually fine. The problem here is that everyone's trying to build... They saw this card and they went, okay, we need to build Murloc Shaman. What you do is you just build Shaman the way it's kind of always been, and then you just throw Neptulon in there, because 4 cards suddenly being added to your hand that all have synergy with each other is really good.
Yeah,
Even
it's
if
just
you didn't
4
build
extra
the rest of your
minions.
deck around Shaman or
Yeah,
around Murlocs.
around Murlocs.
It's
Yeah.
4 extra minions that I'm trying to do the math in my head. You're damn near guaranteed to deploy almost all of them on your turn 8.
Yeah, because you get
Well,
5
now
mana
with the
on turn
Overload
8
3,
is the
maybe not so
Overload.
much.
You'll have
but-
5 mana, so
Yeah.
But
Yeah, depending. If you get- maybe
even
it's-
if you don't, it's fine. It's 4 cards. It's such
It's
a good
4 late game
fill
cards.
your deck card. And actually, Shaman was kind of a deck that had a little bit of a problem because you essentially relied on like Mana Tide Totem to kind of gain cards and things like Azure Drake, which just replaces itself and stuff like that. But essentially, what this is like your second finisher. You have Alakir and Neptulon, and suddenly you have kind of what Mech Mage has, where it has Doctor Boom and it has Archmage Antonidas. Like now, you kind of have 2 cards that you could draw that are late game cards that help you finish a game off. And Neptulon really does do that, because suddenly it's like, well, whether you kill this or not, you expend resources, then I suddenly have 4 Murlocs to just chuck on the board. generally they do pretty well. So it's just another finishing type of card in Shaman that they were kind of missing. So this card is actually really amazing. This card's really good.
Yeah, we like Neptulon, and obviously really good in both either ranked or arena. There's not really it's just a solid card. He doesn't need to synergize with anything to be good.
I actually think this card is better in arena because if you could get this card in arena, you just kind of win with this card. Like you get to turn 7, I play this. A lot of times at turn 7, the game's kind of gone back and forth for a while. Then suddenly I put 4 cards in my hand that all synergize with each other. I just win the game.
Yep. Let's talk about Power Mace, which apparently is not working. There it is. Power Mace. 3 mana, rare weapon, has 3 attack, 2 durability, and it has a death rattle that reads, give a random friendly mech +2 attack, +2 health.
See, again, they tried to kind of make mech shaman a thing, but...
Well, they tried to make... everyone got mech something.
Yeah,
everyone got mech.
That's not really a defining thing.
It's just one more thing that it's just kind of meh with shaman this time.
I like this card though. I think this card's actually really good because there are some really good mechs, just because they're just really good cards. That not whether the mechs or not. So again, you don't have to build a mech shaman to make this card actually really good because you can do things like the healing was the problem in shaman, right? So now I put antique heal bot in my deck and I have power mace and now I get a 5/5 antique heal bot and I kill something at the same time. Like this deck with Power Mace in it does really well because it uses the already high quality mechs and not just like now my whole deck needs to be full of mechs. Just put in 5 or 6 mechs or something like that. And oftentimes at its worst, it's a Fiery War Axe that costs 3. And at its best, it's a Fiery War Axe that costs 3 that also buffed my Antique Heal Bot to a 5/5 at the same time. And I got healed for 8.
It's
pretty decent.
Yeah, it's perfectly as we kind of as kind of in the story as we've discussed weapons on the show. It's just weapons are good. Just really almost every weapon in the game.
Yeah, and I actually think this card's better than the 2/3 that overloads you. Just because oftentimes the 2 attack didn't like you oftentimes had to also use a minion to finish something off with that and. While that card was pretty good already, this card kills things more often on its own. And yeah, you get 2 swings, but then on your second swing, you buff something. And, you'll buff like piloted shredders, which are really good on their own anyway.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't overload anything.
And it doesn't overload. So
yeah, which for the mana cost, it honestly it shouldn't.
It's just a shaman with some mechs. Some of the yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's perfectly. Yeah, Stormforged Axe, it just takes a little bit of extra to remove stuff with, and you're absolutely right. Although the 1 extra attack makes a world of difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a Noyotron suddenly becomes a 3/4 with a shield and taunt. It's amazing.
What?
Yeah, and that card's okay anyway.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of ways to use this, and I think a lot of people look at a card like this or look at Neptulon. Or look at any of these cards and say, I have to build a deck around this card. It's like, no, you don't. You can augment the cards that are already good and then use this card that's okay and do wonders with it. So I've seen some decks really do well with Power Mace.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about another Murloc. Well, actually, the first Murloc, he's not Neptulon, isn't a Murloc. He gives you Murlocs. It's the Siltfin Spiritwalker. It's a 4-mana epic minion, Murloc minion. Has 2 attack, 5 health, and it reads, whenever another friendly Murloc dies, draw a card, overload 1.
Mm-hmm. This is like reverse Cult Master for Murlocs.
How is it reverse Cult Master?
Well, instead of being a 4/2, it's a 2/5. That's all. It's like so. Cult Master dies really easily. Siltfin Spiritwalker can be played.
That's an expensive Murloc.
Draw, and then maybe get more because also Murlocs have charge. Some of them anyway. This card's okay if you're building a Murloc deck in Shaman. This card's pretty necessary. However, I did build the Murloc Shaman deck, and I ended up with 1 of these because 2 was just overkill, and this card's not that great.
Yeah, 2 attack on turn 4, like on curve, is not that exciting, and off and further down the curve is even less exciting. Yeah, you're doing this to draw those cards, so you need to go really heavy Murloc Tribe with your Shaman deck to make this worth it. It's a really risky pick in Arena in the early stage of the draft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But again, too, I just found myself with 2 of these. If I had 2 of them in my hand, it was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Play one on turn 4 and then play another on turn 5? Like what? It just it did not work. So I mean, 2/5 is okay stats. Honestly, it's okay. But it doesn't have charge itself. I need to have other Murlocs on the board already to really get value out of this thing. It was underwhelming overall. Underwhelming overall. But it's an okay card. It's fine.
Jocelyn, do you surprised by how much we're all just kind of in agreement saying you're not like, no, guys, I built a plushie Siltfin Spiritwalker. It's amazing. Let me tell you why.
No,
Okay.
it's completely underwhelming. There weren't really that many of the Shaman cards in general that made me go, oh. So, no, and it's Murlocs.
Shaman was my bro, man, and I
know.
haven't touched them. I haven't touched a Shaman deck since GVG released. Really,
I haven't touched Shaman or Rogue.
Yeah. I played a little bit with Rogue, but I still don't have a Gallywix, so I haven't really delved too deep into that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Shaman's just not in a good place right now.
No,
I
they're
think
not.
as long as Hunter is where Hunter is right now, Shaman won't be. Which is unfortunate. I would like to see Shaman get back to respectability, because I think it's a really cool class. It's just it's suffering. It's now the bottom of the barrel.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Paladin has gone from worst to first, and the Shaman is now terrible.
Uther's up there just like, hey, how's it feel, Thrall? What's it like down there?
You remember that? Remember when I was down there? No,
Hey,
not anymore.
Hey,
you, buddy.
Hey, could you hand me that Blessing of Kings? I dropped it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. On to our next card, Vitality Totem. It's a 2-mana rare minion. It has 0 attack and 3 health, and it reads, at the end of your turn, restore 4 health to your hero. Oh, man, I couldn't be less excited about Mr. Vitality Totem here.
It's more healing for Shaman, which they needed, but you can't fill your deck up with totems.
You need healing, I feel like, in any card game. It needs to be incidental. It needs to be a decent card without the healing, and if the healing happens, that's good. Like, so much... yes, there have been decks in the history of Hearthstone so far that have run just heal cards, and that's fine. And it's usually a reaction to a very aggressive meta. But a card like this, I mean, this card just reads like, I don't know, do nothing and then get 4 health.
Now, okay, I look at this card and I go, all right, the healing is cool. It's guaranteed 4 healing and a 0/3 body. Like, that's for 2 mana. That's you're getting that guaranteed, right? My issue here is that what this looks like to me is that the only way I can make this card be viable in my deck is if I build a card I build a deck that's full of cards that buff other cards. And that's the only way I'm ever going to make this card work. So, I must have Flame Tongues. I must have Defenders. I must have Abusive Sergeants. I must have Dark Iron Dwarves. I must have all of those things. And now I'm building a deck around a Vitality Totem. And I don't want to do that. It's
like I was trying to think about it as well when I first saw Vitality Totem, and I was thinking, oh, a Bloodlust deck. I fill up the board, and then I Bloodlust, and then I win. But then I'm thinking, well, until I Bloodlust, this totem is just sitting there. It's just taking up a slot from a potential other minion that actually has attack, and that doesn't die to the reverse switch spare part.
I was just going to say, with Mech Mage being so popular right now, that's really the biggest problem, I think, with Shaman in general, is that they have all these 0 attack totems and then they die to a 1-mana switch. Spare part.
It's funny that you mentioned. Yeah, it's like, hey, guys, imagine a meta where Crazed Alchemist is in, 90% of the mages you face. Like, it's
if they made a card that said buff attack of your totems by 2 for 2 mana, because you have Totemic Might, right, which buffs the health.
Mm-hmm.
If they had something that buffed the attack of just minion or just totems, you could maybe build a Totem Shaman that was just
that would be
play
so
a bunch
cool.
of cool totems and then buff my totems and then do there could be something cool with that, and I see that maybe happening at some point in the future, because totems are so shamanistic, right? Like
Yeah.
shamans are so
Iconic.
in WoW. That's like that's their thing. They got the totems, right? So they need to have some way to kind of not just buff the health and also buff the attack. And the flame tongue is not enough. You need more than that. And it's an intriguing card that could be amazing with a couple of new cards added. So we'll see. You know, a totem army deck, like where it's just like all I do is I just totem. Oh my god, I killed you with totems. You know, you kind of could do that with Bloodlust, and kind of could do that, but you can't build the deck
Stick
around
to
that
the
right
face.
now.
I love the idea of just my lone flame tongue totem just being like, haha, now it has attack
Yeah.
by itself.
It's just exactly. Like if sometimes you have turns where I use a flame tongue to then kill something else, and now I leave a 0/3 flame tongue on the board by itself, and it's like, well, that sucks. What am I gonna do now? Like next turn, I need a charge minion to make use of this flame tongue totem, and it's just not gonna happen. Well, what if I could buff my flame tongue totem with some other card that's like give attack to totems? Like there could be something cool there. It's just not there yet. More cards in the future might make this a better card, but for now, I'd much rather heal with an antique heal bot or an Earthring Farseer than a Vitality Totem.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Which
I
brings
have actually seen this one, I think 4 or 5 times now, even though I have not faced a shaman, because it seems to pop out of the shredder, the piloted shredder, all the time.
Oh, the Vitality Totem out of the
Yeah,
shredder? Yeah.
yeah.
That's actually sometimes that's really good.
Yeah.
I've had it come out where I needed healing. It's like, oh my god, I healed for 4.
and
Because it's at the end of your turn, too.
Yeah.
you know why it's good? It's incidental in that
It's
scenario.
incidental.
Yeah.
I already got 4/3 out of worth of value, and then I got this guy. So.
Exactly. That's why it's
By
good.
itself for 2
So
mana.
Vitality Totem Man is really good when you attack 4
When you get
attack
it for
and 3
free.
more health
Yeah,
on
I was
it.
gonna say, yeah, when
It's
it comes out of a
amazing.
portal or out of a shredder.
I'm not sure it's that great when it comes out of a portal, but yeah.
But
But then it's
yeah,
free.
That's the same as saying, Paladin secrets are pretty good when they come out of a mad scientist.
Exactly. So everything's good when I don't have to pay for it.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Which brings us to our final card, the Whirling Zap-o-Matic. It's a 2-mana common mech minion. It has 3 attack, 2 health, and Wind Fury. I love this guy in Arena. I like the
Arena,
Zap-o-Matic.
this card is scary, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone plays this against you, like coins into this on turn 1, and you're like, oh no, I don't have any way to kill this. I'm going to take 6 damage at least. Yeah.
It's like they made like Dust Devil good.
Yeah. Dust Devil
Yeah.
Dust Devil was 1 mana, 3/1 Wind Fury. This is and 2 Overload. So this costs 1 less. You pay for it all at once, but 3/2 could actually live maybe. And then so someone coins into this and then Flame Tongues right behind it, and now you take 12
that's
damage.
such
to the
a
face
bad
the next
day.
turn. Yeah.
That is your
Was it
opponent's
10
worst
damage to the
day in
face?
Hearthstone
It
when that
sucks.
happens.
Yeah,
That's-
or you play this on turn 2, then on turn 3 you Flame Tongue and Rock Biter. Oh my god, it's like you're just dead.
the dream.
Yeah, and I've seen it happen. Like I play enough Arena where this kind of stuff happens, and you're just sitting there like, well, I have all 5 or more mana cards in my hand, so I guess I lose. It actually happens more than you think. So
No, that's I mean, it's obviously if your opponent has any answers in hand, gonna die, has 2 attack. But if they
yeah,
don't,
but it's still a 3/2 for 2. It's fine.
it's so worth the risk. It is so absolutely worth the risk.
It's infinitely better than a raptor, right? Like,
And I would argue it has a better sound effect than the Snow Chugger.
that is true. It's pretty
Just saying.
good. Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Blasphemy.
It goes
Blasphemy.
well with all the mech things. You can play this into the Tinker's whatever dude, and yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff.
Tinker's whatever, dude.
You know the guy. Tinker's
Well, and
whatever dude.
it goes with their weapon too, right? It's a mech, so it can get buffed. So
It's your power mace, yeah. Buff
Yeah.
with your power mace, yeah. Yeah. This is a good. This is just a good card. It's a 3/2 for 2 that has an upside, and there's some 3/2s for 2 that have very little upside. You know.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like you said, way better than a Raptor.
Yeah.
Way better than a raptor.
Raptor's a beast, right? Because all those hunters that are beast synergized right now? No. Hunters, like, that's the thing. It's like beast means nothing now.
At the
right?
moment, yeah.
Other than enabling my kill command, that's it.
Yeah, you know what it means? It means things I see from my web spinner. That's what beast
Which
means.
web spinner's out, by the way. Web spinner's out.
Web with Undertaker gone, I guess there's really no point to even bother.
Why play web spinner? What do I need a random beast for? No. I need random beast. I need something that charges your face.
It's your 1 mana kill command enabler, man. Come on.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, don't need it. Don't need it.
We hated on hunters enough this episode. So those are the shaman cards.
It takes so much skill to play, Garrett. So much skill.
They're in a funky place. Shamans are in a real funky place at the moment.
Okay, so now looking at all their cards kind of collectively, it's all over the place, right? It's kind of all over the place. There's no, like, mages kind of have this synergized kind of whatever. A lot of classes actually kind of synergized all the cards that got introduced. I guess they got more than druids did. Like, druids got kind of nothing, but
they didn't need it.
It feels like they don't. There's no purpose to shaman right now. Nobody's figured out what the right shaman is yet. I'm hoping somebody does.
Yeah, and I was expecting because right now, like, if you go and because Undertaker's gone, everyone needs new stuff to complain about. Everyone's complaining about Mech Mage. Everyone's complaining about Druid. Not enough people are complaining about Face Hunter, in my humble opinion. And the thing with so many Druids, I was like, oh, Shaman will totally make a comeback, and just hasn't. We just know. No. I can't figure it out. I haven't seen anyone else figure it out. I'm not sure what the answer is for Shaman, besides apparently that absurd Malagos deck you informed me of that.
But that's not going to take over the meta.
Right. That's like I don't know, like a more well-known, hashed-out version of your milkshake deck. It's a deck that sometimes works, but it's super fun to play.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I don't know how else to categorize it, but yeah, I'm interested to see what the future holds for Shaman. Hope maybe who knows? Maybe that leaked or unsubstantiated rumor of an adventure coming in April will bring some much needed change to Mr. Thrall.
Yeah, we'll see. I think right now the top 2 decks, Mech Mage, Oil, Rogue, top 2 decks right now.
All right.
Yep.
Interesting.
I
watched you play a little bit of that earlier, and I'm intrigued.
I haven't seen a single rogue probably in the last 6 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. I
haven't seen
gone
much
up
rogue
against
either.
a single rogue. So
that's pretty much all I played up until rank 2, and right now I am. Let's see. I haven't played much. I forgot what rank I ended at, but I only played a little bit. But I'm at rank. I think it's like 14 or 15 right now.
Okay.
After not that many games with Rogue.
Fair enough.
Interesting.
14. I'm at rank 14 with not that many Rogue games.
Well, I was
on a win streak like almost the whole time. It's such a good deck. It's tough to play, but
well, that's the thing. We know we know it is a deck that works. It's just hard to play, and it's definitely not popular. And there's something to be said for a deck that it's a solid deck, but people don't know how to react to it.
I think honestly it's a deck that works in spite of itself because people aren't playing around what it does. No one's playing. There's very little Harrison Jones right now, and Harrison Jones can kind of cripple that deck. And there's a lot of people playing things like Black Knight and stuff, and I'm playing one Sludge Belcher, which Black Knight doesn't even really cripple you when it goes up against Sludge Belcher. It's like, all right, well, I still got 1/2. I'm chilling. So, and it's it's just kind of a deck that kind of chugs through and just could suddenly kill you from 24 health or something like that. Like, it's got a lot of things going for it, and people aren't really expecting it. But I really do think those are the 2 top decks right now.
Awesome. Well, let's take some crazy game stories.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
If you have a story that you think is crazy and you can articulate it in a relatively short fashion, send them to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Jocelyn, what do you have for us today?
This one is called How to Win Friends and Influence People on the Ladder. Nobody expects a turn 1 angry chicken, least of all at rank 4. And yet there I was gleefully dropping our mascot with a jelly, "Greetings, traveler," in game after game. What brought on this madness? While watching Dill's stream, I've become friends with several other viewers and have begun playing random decks with them as we rock out to tunes. It's now my favorite way to play. So there I was, 360 gold quests in queue with no real motivation to crawl upwards with Paladin anymore and the wrong classes in my current arena set. Then I had a delightfully demented idea. If I stop caring about Legend and all my opponents are sick of playing against the same 4 decks, what if I played random on ladder? It was glorious. Most decks I played against above rank 6 were control, so at the very least I was making decent progress leveling my heroes. I was giggling or in tears the whole time at their obvious befuddlement as turns took twice as long to play because they had no clue what was going on or how to play around it. This led to some epic moments where Uther got misdirected into Tyrion, a longbow cleared at 1 Molten Giant for free so Sylvanas could kill a Drake and steal the other giant, and an Elven Archer sniped Dr. Boom. The best part was I made a bunch of friends. I sent requests to the few that I beat, everyone accepted, and unlike the usual BM unfriend, there was near instant camaraderie. After the inevitable WTF just happened, I'd explain my mission and we laughed at how my crazy deck worked. Even the players I didn't beat, there were certainly plenty of those, and there certainly were plenty of those. They seemed to give me a hearty, well played. Thanks for the inspiration, from Joshua. So I love that story.
Joshua, you are my hero.
Right?
I'm pretty sure Joshua was in my chat the other night and was talking about this and was trying to get me to do it. Not that I wouldn't do this. I actually have done this in the past. Just queued up a random deck and just, let's go, ranked. Yeah, it is Midnight Bomber. So this is Midnight Bomber's story. Okay, so
He's in the chat room. That's awesome.
yeah, he actually followed the other day and was telling me about this, and it sounds incredibly fun. And I've been doing this on stream now too, is doing the random deck. And I encourage everyone to try this out, where you do the crypt version, which is the random deck where each person chooses a card, and then you put 2 of those in, and then you fill out the rest of the 26 cards or whatever. But that is the funnest way to play this game. Like, if you just want to have pure fun, just do that. Or not even if you just, like, random decks might not be, like, for you. Just make, like, a weird deck and base it around something stupid. Just be like, I'm going to make Hobgoblin Rogue with, like, tons of card draw, and just try to draw into my Hobgoblin every turn. Weird stuff. Just do something weird and play with your friends, and it'll be so fun. This game is incredibly fun when you play it in a fun way. Grinding the ladder is
probably the least fun way to
mind-numbing. Right, yeah. But there's so much fun to be had in Hearthstone, and I don't want everyone to ever forget that. Like, when we start bitching and moaning about stuff, everyone should always remember this game is so damn fun. So damn fun.
And a lot of our moaning just comes from a place of, we want it to be even more fun.
Exactly.
We want the crack to be even more addicting.
Yeah, we're never hating on this game. We're just wanting it to be even better than it already is. But it is, when you play a random deck, oh my god. There's nothing more fun. Oftentimes I'm playing other games and I'm just like, I just want to play Hearthstone right now. I'll be playing like WoW or Heroes or Diablo or something. I'm just like, Hearthstone is just way more fun to me. This game really is like that.
I love it to death. We had a lot of random decks going on at the fireside, by the way.
I'm sure you did. Actually, a random deck tournament. That's I think the way to do
that's
intriguing.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well just have a lottery at that point, but yeah.
Sure, but why not? It's
definitely more entertaining than one. I'll give you that. I don't think we're gonna get approved by Blizzard and get Hearthstone points to give out towards a World Championship qualification, but we definitely have a good time and have some stories to tell.
What you do is you do a random deck, and then each person gets to like throw 10 cards out and put in 10 whatever cards they want.
No, but half the fun of a random deck is not actually seeing
you have, and then try to build some sort of synergy with those 20 cards.
No, man. Half the fun is not actually knowing what cards are in your deck to begin with. You just fill all and go.
But how fun is it to try to build a deck around 20 random cards?
A little bit. That's a good point.
What could work here? Like, something could work,
Call it
And
random.
then I try to gotta
skill.
beat random other decks. So I'm like, hey, Big Game Hunter's probably not good because they may not or not, they may not have 7 or attack higher creatures. So what do I play?
But they could also have nothing but 7.
That's true.
7
Yeah.
attack or higher
You
creatures.
don't know, but I mean, I think that would be really fun. I would love to see some random decks tournaments. That would be so fun. All right, I'm talking to the boys at SF Game now. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna do this.
Oh man, yeah, LAN. That'd be great.
Do it on stream.
Let's take an email before we finish the show.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
If you want to write us, the same email address, tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from listener Eric, who writes, "Hey, non-naked chickens." Not sure why
That
that...
was
We're
from
not
last
called
week,
the
wasn't
naked
it?
chickens.
Was it?
Last week or the week before, wasn't there some joke about the naked chicken and it turned out to be a restaurant?
Oh,
Come on,
yeah,
keep
Oh,
it,
you're right.
guys.
Yeah,
Keep it.
Okay, it's a reference to our own show that we do.
I only
and
remember things from today.
I don't remember what I ate from breakfast. Eric writes, I've been playing Arena lately and have been finding myself facing what seems like an unending stream of mages. Shocking, I know. It seems like in every game I end up getting Frost Nova'd, Blizzarded, and Flame Struck into oblivion. All these annoying losses got me thinking about a way to slightly curb these power and prevalent AoE spells through new mechanics, not nerfs, in true Jocelyn fashion. Here's what I came up with. I'm calling the mechanic Lightning Rod. A, quote, lightning rod minion would absorb all of an AoE spell's damage, preventing your other minions from being affected. If the mage drops a Frost Nova or Flame Strike, only this minion would suffer the freeze or 4 damage burn, not your whole board. This could also work to counter some of the increased RNG we're seeing these days. An example would be a Mad Bomber's bombs would be forced to target and kill a lightning rod minion before its bombs could target any other characters. Or allow your lightning rod minions to serve as a sacrificial lamb to Ragnaros to prevent your face from getting burned off. Keep up the solid show. You've got the only podcast I listen to religiously. Go SF Giants.
Whoa, sweet. Nice work, Eric.
There's some really cool ideas here. I'm not sure as to absorbing.
That's so OP though. If that's all one thing.
Oh yeah. But I think he's kind of like it's one or the other. And if you're gonna, the thing I find interesting is the absorbing random effects. But how would you actually like word that in a way that makes sense? Because I really doubt Blizzard's just gonna stamp it with absorbs all random effects until dies. Like I just don't.
Yeah, this is way too OP if it does everything he said. However, if it did one of those things, it might be okay.
So either RNG or AoE.
I think
It can't do AoE and RNG.
Yeah.
That's what?
The AoE thing I think is
Spell taunt.
Again, how do you word it?
Yeah, it's spell taunt. That's what I thought was so cool. It's just Oh,
yeah, I
love
think
this
that's
idea.
the way you do it. Yeah, I think that's the way you do it. Is just spell taunt. Period, and it works for all spells, including AoEs, because I don't think the term AoE is used anywhere in Hearthstone at the moment. Obviously, they could add it, but again, how would you actually think about it? Because you know this is a design thing for Hearthstone. How would they actually design around this in a simplistic fashion so you could read the card and know what it means? And I don't think there's an easy answer for either of these, the random absorption or the AoE specific absorption. But yeah, if you had something like taunts spells is fine. Like I get that. I think that's something a keyword they could add that would make sense almost immediately.
I think it can't do AoEs though. I mean, I do see it doing, like we already have a spell called Spellbender, or right, like the secret Spellbender and stuff like that. I think it can't do Flame Strike. Like that just cripples Flame Strike so much. But if there was a minion that said,
it's the same sort of idea, I feel like, as like Lotheb, where that cripples your spells at the same time. And this is the kind of thing that's just basically going to get played and probably buy you a turn. I don't really feel like it would be something that would stick around for much longer than that.
The stats would have to make sense. This isn't something that you could give 8 health. It would have to be something that would be realistically removable. so that you can remove it first and then cast an AoE. Obviously, Flame Strike would be the one that had the hardest time because it is a very expensive spell up at the 7 mana mark. But I don't know. I find this idea so interesting that I would like to see it. I'd like to see it added.
Get on a Blizzard. As we say pretty much every episode now.
I've heard people talk about this. There's already a lot of like stuff that kind of cancels out spell effects. You got minions that can't be targeted and secrets that counter spells and all that kind of stuff. And Lotheb and Trogzor and all that stuff. But this is another interesting way to do it. So I think it totally makes sense to actually add this. Could be pretty sweet. I'm all for it.
I'm down, Eric. You go.
Love it.
You go, Eric. With your bad self.
You want to take the final email, Dills?
Yes, final email. Andrew says, "Hey, TAC crew. While not a crazy game story, the following could almost constitute as one. I got really lucky with a series of GVG packs I opened on Friday. In one pack, I got a regular and golden Sneed's Old Shredder. My next pack netted me a golden Mechgineer Thermoplug. Now I find myself debating if I should dust the golden Sneed for a Dr. Boom. What would you guys do? Do you keep golden Sneed for the sweet legendary randomness, or do you go for the dust to fill out your collection?" Wow.
He sent screenshots. Like, it's not even that he's making it up. Like, there's an email full of screenshots of all the stuff that he got out of these packs. It's crazy.
Dude, if you also got a regular old shredder, there's no question in my mind. I would shred that golden so fast because Dr. Boom is just that good.
Well, here's the thing. So you have a regular and a golden.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because the regular, that's a card that's actually in the meta. That's actually, people are using that card. It's a good card. But if you have a golden one as well, get the golden one out of there and get yourself another card like Dr. Boom, because now you kind of have all the meta GVG legendaries. And I think that would be fantastic. You'd be kind of filled out at that point. Although the golden Sneed gives you a golden legendary that comes out of it, which is also super awesome. So I don't know. Depends on how much you're willing to grind arena and or buy packs.
And how many holes in the collection you really have. Although if you don't have a Dr. Boom's in quite a lot of decks. So he's definitely...
Quite a lot? You mean every single deck?
Well, yeah.
Even the aggro decks are running that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, where he's so useful, I think that's a really good choice. And normally I am not a shred the gold person, but it's hard to argue with this. And actually, I got another Black Knight, so I disenchanted my non-golden Black Knight.
So
it gave me just enough gold, enough dust to get.
I'm not even sure why this is a discussion. This is like saying, well, I tripped and found myself in the possession of a Ferrari, and then I tripped again and found myself in the possession of a slightly shinier Ferrari that's the exact same car. Should I just keep them both, or should I sell one of the Ferraris and also get an Aston Martin when I'm feeling a little classier? I don't know.
You could do this, though. You could keep the golden Mechgineer, and you could keep the golden Sneed, dust the Mechgineer and the regular Sneed. Do you see what I'm saying?
And make a boom and have some.
Yeah, because golden legendaries are really hard to come by later. Yeah. When you get one randomly, it's like, I should probably just keep this.
Yeah.
It's a golden legendary. It's really hard to get. It's going to cost me a lot.
Especially if it's one that you're going to get some play out of. Like, you're going to play Sneed. It's not going to sit in your collection and never see any use, like, I don't know, Golden Gruel,
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
That I would get rid of. But if you're actually going to get a chance to throw down that golden legendary, why are you laughing at me, Garrett?
Because Gruel is so hurt right now. He's like, Jocelyn is so nice to every card in the game, and she's just like, shred that bitch.
Right in the face.
My brain is so not wired this way. I'm just like, oh, cool, gold legendary. Now I get whatever card I actually want. Like, I don't even consider keeping it for even half a second.
Well, but see, like, and I guess it's a little bit different because he got regular and golden in the exact same pack, so he doesn't need to worry about it. But when I got my golden Black Knight, then I was like, well, I want a Black Knight anyway, so what am I going to do? Disenchant my golden Black Knight to make a Black Knight? No, I'm just going to keep my gold one.
Yes, if you don't have it already and it's a card you're actually going to use.
That you really need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
By the way, I just won a game of Cancer Hunter because Cancer Hunter's that easy. I don't have to think. I'm answering questions.
Playing right now.
Playing right now. I'm serious, you guys. I'm serious. You don't have to think. You're right, Garrett. You're right. I'm wrong. I never thought about a single thing. I just looked at my hand and I went, how much mana do I have? Play it, face. I take it.
You'll have to send me your deck list.
I take it all back, buddy. You're right.
Then when I get really, really frustrated, I could just be like, damn it, Hunter. Ugh.
I literally never thought about it. I literally never thought about a single move on that. I was answering the questions, talking to you guys, totally engaged in that.
Again. Yeah. Okay.
I was playing Hearthstone at the same time.
I feel like I'm gonna be like, see, I told you, and they're gonna be like, oh, I'm just trolling you, man.
No.
I told you.
It was that bad.
Sometimes
this particular deck.
Sometimes my lunatic like rantings are not completely based on pure opinion.
Not all aggro decks, but this particular one.
Yeah, no, I'm dude. I played the shit out of aggro decks. I'm just Hunter. I just hate it. I hate it. Sorry, it's the Crackle of decks.
This is the charge Hunter with nothing but go to the face stuff.
Yeah. Anyways,
talk about Glaive Zuka pretty soon. I'll be ready for that.
Anyways,
next week
we're doing Hunter next week. Jocelyn decided for everybody.
Yep.
That's gonna do it for this episode. As always, we want to thank all of our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. We are very humbly supported by all of you epic badasses. Thank you so much. If you want to become a TAC patron, if you're not already one, it gives you access to the TAC Skype account, which is what we use for those patron call-in episodes. One went up today. If you're wondering why this is episode 65, I decided I should probably just number them all because they're still technically episodes, so no reason to do that. That's why we it seems like we jumped an episode. But you got 2 episodes last week. Be excited. It's all because of these patrons, so thank you guys very much. You also get the after show video over at patreon.com/TAC. And so thank you guys very much. We haven't scheduled the next patron call-in episode yet, but we'll have a date up very soon. And this week we wanted to thank James W., Ring Zero, Eagle Scout, Michael H., and Albert T. Thank you all very much for being TAC patrons. I realize I always say TAC and Dills always says TAC. What do you say, Jocelyn?
TAC.
Okay, so I'm the odd man out.
Yep.
All right, I'm
such a weirdo, man.
You guys go finish the show. I'm gonna go sit in the corner.
What are you even talking about?
If you're leaving us reviews in the iTunes store, we really appreciate that as well. This week we wanted to thank Oh Hell No, who wrote not enough MTG and Star Wars references. Thank you to GBobble334, SOG001, and Calby74. Thank you all for your iTunes reviews. Really appreciate it. As always, The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. Past live shows and other videos can be found over at youtube.com/StarcastShow. Our t-shirt is on slashloot.com. Just look for the Angry Chicken. And you can follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast. And we record it live every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv or on alphagigradio.com. Dills, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Torchcast, which is the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. I'm actually going to do one of those in about 5 minutes. So look forward to that. That's our first one in a while. This is our off season. It's the baseball off season as well, but Super Bowl's over. Pitchers and catchers are reporting in about 14 days or so, something like that. So it's now time to start doing the show again. Of course, the Instance Friday mornings, and you can check out my Twitch channel, which I pretty much do Hearthstone. But lately, I've been doing more WoW. Now that I got my computer updated and everything, I've been doing more WoW and stuff. So you can find me there, twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. Hearthstone, WoW, Heroes of the Storm, what have you.
Awesome. Go check it out, everyone. Jocelyn, where can folks find you when you're streaming games or talking about other games?
Right here on AMove TV. I do the Gamers In every Friday night at 8:30 Eastern. And that's just our general gaming podcast. We also stream Gamers In Game Night on Thursday nights. And you can find that over on my Twitch channel, which is GIS Gamer. And you can also follow me on Twitter to find out when I'm doing all of my crazy random streams, which is, again, just GIS Gamer.
Check it out. And if you want to yell at me and force me to love the Crackle, you can do so on Twitter at GarrettArt. You can find my graphic design portfolio over at nomoonart.com. And you can hear me talking all about Heroes of the Storm on Into the Nexus with Kyle Ferguson. Go check it out. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, amove.tv/ITN. It's everywhere. Just go check it out. It's on that YouTube that we mention on this show every episode. But no one listens to this end part. They've all tuned out by now, but then they're not going to hear all the wacky things that we say.
I just won again. It's always Huffer.
Like Dills.
It's always Huffer. Why is it always Huffer? It's crazy.
Because it knows what hunter you're playing. It's like, oh, you're playing Face Hunter? Here, have a Huffer.
It's so sad. 3 mana 4/2 with charge. No penalty. It's a beast. What? It's so,
Beast mode.
oh, it's so crazy.
The only penalty is like the half a second of that pit in the stomach you had when you're like, what if it's not Huffer? Oh, of course it's Huffer.
Yeah, what if it's Leok? Oh, no,
only-
it's Huffer.
And even then, if it's Leok, you're like, oh, I had another guy on the board. Win-win situation. Because somehow they didn't remove the one thing I beat him in the teeth with last turn.
I don't understand. I was playing a handlock who just antique heal botted from 2 to 10. And then I was like, well, I got Huffer and Kill Command in my hand. Or not, sorry, I have Animal Companion. I have Huffer in my hand. I was like, I probably win.
Oh.
Huffer, go. Kill Command, go.
Yep. Beautiful. It's a thing of...
There you go, Jocelyn. That's how you're going to get to Legend this season. Huffer.
Right. It really sounds like it. And it kind of makes me sad.
It should. It
Huffer
should
all
make
the
you
way.
sad. It should absolutely make you sad. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Check out doghousesystems.com. Use our code TAC to get double memory on your next gaming rig and directly support the Angry Chicken in the process. Also, check out the Angry Chicken Special Edition Doghouse System while you're over there. We will see you all next week for episode 66. And until then, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!